Bazza knows Larry, he's known him for years, but only from the day he walked in the gym off the street with his tail between his legs. But me, I've known Larry his whole life. It's been a pleasure, to swear it. And it was Dad Big Larry and his mum Maria. So anyway, I'm Big Mac, I'm 57, and he called me Big Mac because I'm fat and I love Big Macs. I own and run the off licence over the road from Big Larry's, and I have done for over 30 years. Now, I owe the McRae family a lot. I was alone until I met Big Larry and Maria. I lost my own son to a congenital heart condition. He was born with it. He lived 3 strong years, but then one day his little heart gave out. 1 year later, my wife committed. She just couldn't handle the pain anymore. Her heart was broken, she was broken, and I was broken. I've tried to join my wife and son so many times, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But anyway, that's another story, enough about me. So I'm going to tell you the story of the McRae family and little Larry McRae, now known as the Lampel Larry McRae, the 24-year-old undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. This story is going to be from the start, so let's get into it. Big Larry and Maria, they met in a bar when she was on a family holiday in America. They moved into a big house over the road from my off licence 2 days after I bought it. Lovely couple, always polite and well-mannered. Big Larry was an American, a big fella and very articulate, well-to-do kind of person and posh, but down to earth and grounded. Over the next few years we become friends, just from chatting and stuff when he come into the shop daily. There was a pub a few doors away that we'd go to on a Tuesday and Thursday while Maria was in work. Maria worked nights in a nursing home. It was mine and Larry's thing, and I always looked forward to his company. Now this one day I was in the shop and I'd opened a bit early because he had a delivery coming. I'll always remember it. So there was a big lorry outside and I'm taking box off, and I had a pallet machine, but it was broke, you know, like a pallet trolley. So it was broke, so we had to unball everything off, and I was only on my own as well. So I can just remember thinking, so the driver, I've given him 20 quid, he jumped out, he started, because they don't normally help you, them delivery drivers, they're just drivers, and they stated to you as well, we don't do that, we're just drivers. Do you know what I mean? If you know, you know anyway. So I'm standing there, and I sees Maria, and I sees Larry, and I'm about walking up, and I'm thinking, they look a bit, you know, they got like a bit of a stride and a bounce and all that. I thought, what's going on here? So as he walks up, right, I could just see a glow. I could see a glow in Maria. And it reminded me of when my wife told me that she was pregnant with my late son, right? And I just looked and thought, these are pregnant. These are definitely pregnant. So she's like, we've got some good news. I said, what? She's like, I'm pregnant. I said, aye. And so gives Maria a big hug, and I'm shaking Larry's hand, and I'm hugging Larry, and yeah, it is right, it is right. And it just took me back, and I had, you know, I had little moments where it took me back to when it happened to me, you know, and I'm on my own now, and everything's gone all, you know, it's different worlds I live in now to what I used to live in, but I'm happy for these two, you know, I'm happy for them. Now, Larry smoked, but Maria didn't, and Larry, he used to love Regal King Size, 20 Real King Size every morning, and the paper, that was his thing, and, you know, then Maria would come over later on for some milk, bread, and whatever the essentials were, so it goes in, gets 40 Real King Size, gives them to Larry. Lad, congratulations, mate. He's like, no, I wouldn't leave it. You know, he was very like, he was a proud man. He was a proud man. And I'm like, listen, mate, it's okay. Do you know what I mean? I said, you know, that, and he's like, thank you very much. He was a grateful man. You know, we appreciated the things in life when someone would do something for me. You know, he was a proper sound fella. He had a very good job. He had a lot of money. You know, he was a proper. It was like the dream. It was like the family dream. You know, he's an American. He's come over to Liverpool. He's created the American dream, but in Liverpool. It was lovely to see. You know. Now I'm at like the sidelines. I'm looking in, aren't I? Do you know what I mean? I'm getting closer to it. It's all perfect. Everything's perfect. And you know what? I'm proper made up for them. So I'm like, have you got any names? They're like, well, we're going to name him. If it's a boy, we're going to name him Larry after his dad. And if it's a girl, we're going to call her Charlotte, but we're going to call her Lottie for short. I was like, I had proper lovely names. And it just gave me flashbacks. But I was so happy for these people, you know. It couldn't have happened to better people. I promise you now, it couldn't have. So the time's come. It's time to give birth. So they've told me, listen, we're going to the hospital. We've got to go to the hospital now. She's in labour. So I'm like, yeah, so I've just shut the shop, jumps in the taxi, boom, gone straight to Aussie. Because I had a little drink, so I couldn't drive. Do you know what I mean? I used to have a little drink now and again, only a beer and that while I was in work of an afternoon. Do you know what I mean? So gets in the taxi, goes to the hospital. I'm made up, can have the card and stuff like that, obviously. Goes in, I'm made up for them. And she gives birth, hasn't she? It's a boy. It's little Larry. Little Larry was born. Now, over the next 3 years, I've watched the kid grow up. She's been coming in prams at first, and then, you know, he's finding his feet, he's starting to talk, and he's got his little regular thing off me where he's coming in. I'll give him some sweets. It'll be like a Milky Bar, chocolate buttons, or a Milky Way, just stuff like that. It was a regular thing, and I loved it. It was brilliant. I loved seeing the little lad's face, because his smile, that little boy's smile, it just reminds me of my little lad. Yeah, and I always remember the day that I introduced him to sour penny sweets. It was priceless. The kid, you should have seen his face. Me and Maria just laughed so much that day. So then it's nearly his third birthday, and I've been invited to his birthday. So we go to his birthday party, all his family's there, and you know, they'd see me like family, and I'd see them like family, and little laddie sitting on me knee, I've got him some toys, and you know, I just took a step back, and I was looking at the situation, I was thinking, you know what, this is the perfect setup. It was brilliant, everything was brilliant, absolutely couldn't be any better at all. So after his birthday party, I'd never seen little laddie for a few days because he got sick. Maybe it was from kids coming to the party, you know, he's caught some, you know, little cold, because some of the kids were older, so they were in school, so maybe they've caught something, you know, passed it on to little laddie. So little laddie's sick, so Maria's coming in, she's getting all the stuff. I'm like, how's he doing? She's like, he's alright. I'm like, give him a sweet, give him a sweet. Now, where little laddie lived and where big laddie's house was, there was a window, and his window, we could more or less see my shop from the window, but it was over the main road. You'd have to cross one road and cross the road, but it was a proper crossing. So Maria would come in, and then she'd go back, and as she'd be walking back, little laddie'd be waiting there, you know, looking out the window, waiting for his mum to come back with the sweets and all that. So she comes in the shop one morning, gets all the stuff and all that, and as she walks out, about 3 minutes later, there's this noise, just this big, just weird noise. So run out the shop, run. Oh my God, tragedy has struck. Maria's been run over by a HGV lorry. She's crossed the road as she normally does, and I'm looking, I can see little laddie looking out the front window. He's watched everything. He's watched. Now, when I say she's been run over, she's been run over. She's been tore limb from limb, just dragged down the street. Oh, it was horrific. Little laddie's screaming in the window, and big laddie's on the step. He's come running out, and oh my God, there's absolutely no way this woman survived that. And I can see the bag of sweets is just on the floor. Oh my God, little laddie is in bits, big laddie's in bits, I'm in bits, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say. The driver, he's in bits. Even the driver of the truck was crying about the lights were on red. Everyone around saying the lights were on red. He jumped the lights, he went through the lights. The sign was on where you can cross. It was safe to cross. She's done this every day, morning, noon and night. What's gone wrong? How's this gone wrong? What's happened? And it turns out, after the investigation, that the driver was texting someone on his phone and he didn't see it. He hasn't seen the red light. He's gone straight to and just took Maria clean out. Now, little laddie should have been with her, and it's a good job, you know, it's a good job he wasn't, because he was sick, or he would have been there, wouldn't he? He would have been. But think about what that little boy has just witnessed. He's just been at the window watching his mum crossing the road with his sweets, as she did every day, and just seeing her get wiped out by a lorry and dragged down the street, blood everywhere, just tore limb from limb. Oh my God, what the... How things happened, how this happened. I couldn't believe it. I was in shock. And, you know, think about little laddie and think about big laddie. Everyone's life changed from that day. Little laddie, big laddie, and mine as well. So now little laddie's got no mum, has he? He's only got his dad, and his dad, he hasn't took it well like anyone wouldn't. And he started drinking. I can see him coming over more and more. Drink. He's hitting it hard, but you know, it's kind of understandable, isn't it, after what he's just been through. But what about the baby? And what started to happen is he started to like pull himself away from me, where he's not really coming over much no more, do you know what I mean? And the baby's getting older, and it's just deteriorating. He's getting worse, and he's starting to resent little laddie, because you can see his mum and him, you know, the kids smile. It's just, mate, and he's taking a step back from raising him. And you know, what am I supposed to do? I'm the shopkeeper now. I've gone from being a part of the family to just a shopkeeper again. Do you know what I mean? They've sort of like just took a step back from me, and you know, I can probably half understand it, because the shop probably would remind him at the times when we all had the laughing, you know, and this and that. But what's going to happen now? So my head's gone, and you know, I can imagine the pain that the little boy's going through, and his dad's just on the drink, just non-stop. It's getting worse and worse. So little laddie's ended up starting junior school, and he's coming in on his own by now, and he's coming in every day. He's like, Big Mac. I'm like, all right, mate, giving him sweets and all this, and I can see that it's not going good for him. It's not going good, because after a couple of years of starting to notice properly that he's got the same uniform on through the years, you know what I mean? He's got the same shoes on, and you know, he's got the same school bag, and you know, he looks tatty, and he's walking to and from school every day, and he's only a boy. He shouldn't be walking that long on his own, that far. He's walking there, he's walking back, and the dad's drinking all the money, he's drinking all the family benefits, because he's just lost his job. He's give that up. He's got no motivation or no will to live. But that little boy should have been his will to live. You know what I mean? It should have been, but I don't know what happens. It's you know, you can only think about what someone's going through in a situation like that. But, you know, to be sure, to have your mum just taken away from you just that quick and out the blue. Like when I lost my son, then I knew it was going to happen. So it wasn't easy, but I knew it was inevitable. So I was prepared for it a little bit more than someone just getting ran over instantly, to get what I mean. It was heavy watching the kid just deteriorate, and you know, the fire's gone, he's got no motivation, he's got no water, he's got no presence, he's just a shadow for himself. When he was little, he used to be just running around all happy, and now he's just a shadow. It's like he's got no soul left in him, and I can only imagine what's going on in the house behind closed doors. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but am I supposed to do anything? What am I supposed to do? I'm knocking at the house and no one's answering the door. I'm phoning big laddie, he's not even answering me calls. He's stopped coming over now. He started sending little laddie over with notes for bevies. Do you know, I owe you and all this and all that, which I don't mind, but what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Say no? I don't know what to do. So it's going on for years and years. Now let's fast forward a bit, and it's got to senior school now. So now laddie's in senior school and he's walking there, he's walking back, and this is like a good 2.5 miles there and 2.5 miles back. So the kid's doing a 5-mile trek every day, and he's getting terrorised in school, he's getting taunted and bullied just all the way through. He's coming to me, and you know, the kid's in bits, mate. He's just a broken man. And he's telling me what they're all saying to him. Laddie's got no mum, laddie's got no mum, laddie is a meth, laddie is a meth. And it just broke me out listening to his story, honest to God it did. And his shoes are too small for him. So I said, you know what? I said, come on, lad. So I thought, I don't know how this is going to go down well, but let's just see what happens. So I shut the shop, I've jumped him in the car, and we go to a sports shop, and I bought him a pair of Nike Air Max. He was made up. I mean, like a good pair, you know, like a nice pair of trainees for him. He was made up. He's got them on. He's got the shoes in a box and all that, and he's proper made up, hugging me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I'm not a meth now. I'm not, you know, just like the kid's like he's not underdeveloped, but he's brand new out the wrapper because of just he's stuck in a bubble. He's just stuck in a bubble, going home, and his dad's thinking, you know, what's his dad letting him not? He's just sat by the telly on his own, making his own dinner, this, that. You can only imagine what's going on. So I'm in the shop and he's gone home to this, and then about 10 minutes later, a big laddie comes in the shop and just punches me square on the chin. Boom. I'm looking at him, I can't believe it. Stay out of my business, this is not, he throws the trainees at me. It's not your fucking business, this is my son. Because he's still a proud man, but only he can't be no more because he's lost it all and it's all gone. So I didn't retaliate, I just had to accept it, didn't I? So I'm just like, so, you know, pick myself up and just put the trainees back in the box and just, you know, don't know what to say about that. I don't know what to do. So that's me out of it, innit? You know, what I'm supposed to do. He's thinking that I'm meddling in his business, but I'm not. I've only got his best interests at heart, and laddies, little laddies, but, you know, he's denied me everything. He's denied, he won't be coming in here no more, you know, and just storms off. And I don't know what happened there. I done wrong for trying to do right, you know what I mean? I don't know what. I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. So now it's all gone quiet. I haven't seen little laddie for about 6 weeks. And one day I'm outside, I'm just standing outside. It was hot there, it was summer. And it was summer holidays, so laddie was off school, he broke up, and I see an ambulance outside, like big laddies. I'm thinking, shit, what's that? But I don't want to go over, because then I hope it's not little laddie. I hope it's not big laddie, but I hope more it's not little laddie. I hope big laddie hasn't done nothing to him. I'm not saying he's abusive or anything like that, but you don't know, because I haven't got eyes on them no more. You know, they pulled away from me, totally haven't seen him for ages. And then the ambulance drives off, and then little laddie comes over, and I'm like, what's happened there? He said, my dad's sick, he's been taken to the hospital, something's with his liver. I'm thinking, well, it will be, won't it? I said, it will be. I never said this to him, but I'm like, he'll be okay, lad, he'll be okay. He's like, I don't know what I'm going to do now. I said, well, has he got his phone with him? Was he awake when he got took? He's like, yeah. So I thought I was going to have to ring him. And so I've given it about an hour or two, and little laddie's sitting with me, and, you know, he's having something to eat, and he's having some sweets, and just, you know, just getting on. So I've got to go to trainees out now. You might think, what, but I thought, you know what, the kids, he's never wore them, so, you know, there is trainees, and they're still there for him, and he's still fitting, because it's only been a few weeks. So I gave him the trainees, he puts the trainees on, he's made up again, he's like, thanks, and all that. So I just phoned big laddie, right, and big laddie answered the phone, and I'm saying to him, you're all right, mate, and he's giving me the time of day, you know, he's cooled down now, and he understands that if he's in hospital, this kid, he's not allowed to look after himself, and he doesn't want to go into care. So he's talking to me. I said to him, what's going to happen now? He said, is there any chance you can do me one big favour? I'm sorry for punching you in this, that. I'm like, don't worry about it, water under the bridge, yeah. He said, will you look after me, boy? I'm like, yeah. I said, what's wrong with it? He said, I think I've got cirrhosis of the liver, and I know that's, you can't recover from that. You know, you mightn't die from it, but you can't recover from it. It's a heavy illness, especially if he gets out and starts drinking again. So I'm like, what are they saying? He said, I've got to stay in here for like 6 weeks. I said, okay. I said, okay. I said, well, is it okay if we give him his trainees? He's like, yeah. He's like, listen, mate, I'm sorry. You know, I've had time to reflect. I haven't been on the drink for a few days, and his head must have cleared up, you know, like, he's been bevied ever since, you know what I mean? He's been bevied ever since. So when you're waking up and you're drinking and all this and all that, you know what I mean? Your mind's just not there, is it? So I think, like, he's starting to come back to reality, and I'm not made up of that he's in hospital, but I'm made up that you can see, you know, so the kid's got chains on, so he's off school now for a few weeks with some of these lads. Come on, do you want to work with me? Because he's ended up on the streets and he's going to end up in the wrong crowd. I can see it in all the local rats. They're starting to try and get into him, but not to be with him, but to do things for him. Do you know what I mean? He's out till 10 o'clock in the night that I can see, because I was shutting the shop then. I'm out, I'm like, come here, he's coming over to me. He's always had respect for me, he's never ignored me, do you know what I mean? And he's listening to me, and I'm like, yeah, do you want to come with me, lad? He's like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, so he comes to mine, he's staying, I've made a little room in the spare room for him, he's buzzing. So I've got him away from all that, because I know where it's going to end up. He's going to end up in jail. He's going to end up, you know, in jail or worse. He's going to get hurt off them, because these are local bullies and the local rats, you know, starting to sell weed on scooters and all that. And I just don't want it to happen to little Larry. It's just not happening. Over my dead body, this is happening. So I took him under the wing, he's coming to work with him, giving him wages, he's buzzing, he's proper happy, do you know what I mean? And then Dad gets out of hospital and ends up on the drink again, doesn't he? And within 1 week it's all gone again, just all back to the start. Everything's gone again. We got so far, it's just heartbreaking. I'm knocking at the house, and at first he was letting me in, he was talking to me, saying thank you and all that. And then he's just, I don't know, I've just got no explanation as to where his mind was at, but where his mind was at was poison for the boy. The boy was getting poisoned. He's out on the streets again, and he's mixing with the crowds, and he's being arrested for something, and it's just going downhill, badly going downhill, this, you know. So then the day comes, the final straw comes, and you know what? I flipped, mate, right, I'm in the shop. Next thing, little laddie comes running, you should have seen the face, he's got blood all over him, black eyes. I'm like, what's happened? He's like, me dad. I said, your dad's done this? He said, yeah. I said, what do you mean? He said, we were arguing, and I said, I'd rather you be me dad, and he just battered me. I said, has he? Yeah. So I've just come flying out the shop, ran over the road, knocked on the door, and I fucking battered him, and I mean fucking battered him, not to the extreme point where he's like fucking, you know what I mean, but I've given him a proper fucking good little hard mate, but you know what I mean, and the little lad, he's looking at me and I'm looking at him, and you know, he's saying stop, so I've had to stop, right? Now the busies have come, and the busies have seen little laddie's face, and they've seen big laddie, so big laddie's being took to the hospital. The busy's saying to me, what about him? And I'm saying to him, I don't know. He said, what happened there? So I've told the busy, and the busy was like half sound, you know what I mean? So then the social workers have come, and they're half sound as well. So they're saying, well, what can we do with him? And I'm like, well, how old is he? I said, he's like 14 and a half. And they're saying to me, well, you know, by law, there's no legal age that a kid can be left on his own. I went, what do you mean? And they're like, well, in the UK, there's no fixed legal age at which a child can be left home alone. And I'm like, so he can stay with me? They're like, well, yeah. They said, we'd rather him stay with you, because if we start trying to take him to social and little kid and all that, you know, it's going to be a process, and, you know, he's going to end up not pressing charges on his dad, and there's going to be all this and all that. So I was like, no way. So I thought, like, you'd have to be 16 and all that. I didn't know this all along. No one knew this all along. Do you even know this? No, you probably don't. It's a guideline. There's no actual law of when a kid can be left on his own in the house. It's just guidelines, to see what I mean. So obviously, like toddlers and that, it's not recommended, but you know, when you're like under 12, you're not mature, so you're not really allowed to, you can by law, but it's not recommended. So now I know that this kid can stay in the house by himself or stay in mine by law, and the police officers and the social welfare people, they're recommending he does, while he sort out what's going on with the dad. So the dad's gone to the hospital and all that, and he must be wounded. He's phoned me up right a few days later, and he's just crying down the phone. I'm saying to him, listen mate, but I did give him it, do you know what I mean? I did put him out on that, do you know what I mean? So I feel a bit of a shit, but it is what it is. I couldn't control myself, do you know what I mean? And Larry, he's forgiven me already, do you know what I mean? I think he's just grown to despise him, do you know what I mean? He's just thinking of the childhood he's had. So he stays in mine that night, and we're just talking. We've had the scrank on the KF and all that. So we're having a scan. He says to me, how did you learn how to fight like that? I said, well, I used to go to the gym, didn't I? He's like, yeah, but what? I said, well, in my day, it was boxing that. I said, but there's new things now. There's MMA and, you know, the stuff you've seen UFC. He's like, yeah, I've watched it, I like it and that. I said, why didn't you start in there? He's like, I wouldn't have the balls to walk into one of the gyms. I might behave, lad. Now, I know Bazza, right? Bazza's my old mate, and Bazza runs one of the gyms in Kirkdale. So I thought, you know what? I'll give Baz a little ring. So I said to me, I will you want me to have a little ring of one of my mates and see what he's saying. He's like, will you? I said, yeah. I said, of course I will, lad. I said, you know. He's like, oh, what do I do for all equipment? I said, I'll buy you it, mate. I'll buy you the stuff like that. He's like, will you? Yeah, will you? So I says, all right. So phones Baz, like, bring him down, lad. I said, who is you told me? He's like, bring him down, lad. Baz is sound. Baz sees the good in people. He's not like, he's not, know what I mean? He's like a proper coach, and, you know, he's like the heaviest fella I know in real life. Let's put it that way. He's a heavy fella, mate. So he's like, yeah, bring him down, mate. How have you been? I haven't spoken to you for a while. This, that. Like, you know, we should catch up. I'm like, yeah, me and Baz, we go back a long way. Do you know what I mean? We go back a long way. We were in school together, and we ended up being mates, you know, on and off ever since. But, you know, since I got the shop and all that, I haven't really been out with them, or, you know, since my son died and my wife died, it's just I'm a different person, do you know what I mean? So, you know, I haven't seen him for a good while now. Baz is about my age now, but he's, you know, he's a hard man, mate. He's a hard my age, do you know what I mean? He's a hard my age, mate. He's been in the gym ever since. So we arranged the day to go down, so drives him down. The laddie won't go in the gym, he won't go in, he just comes back out. He goes to the door and he walks back out. I'm like, do you want me to walk in? He's like, will you? I said, if I walk you in, I said, it's going to be better if you walk yourself in, mate. And he's like, what? I said, lad, I said, you're becoming a man now, you know, mate. He's like, I don't want to. So I said, all right, no, I'm not going to force him, I'm not going to pressurise him into it. Let's go. Gets back and all that. So goes on again. Now his dad gets out of Aussie, and his dad's all charges have been dropped on that when he shouldn't have, but they have been, right? So he hasn't pressed charges on me neither. So a week again, boom, back on the bevies. You know what? This fella's going to fucking die. There's no way he's not. He's going to die, mate. And he's just like, he hasn't stopped Larry from coming to see me no more. But he doesn't want nothing to do with me. Won't answer. Just won't have nothing to do with me. And I'm, you know, it's getting to the point now where he knows if he hits Larry again, I'll go in and I'll fucking punch his face in again. And this time, you know what I mean? If, you know, listen, I'm not being funny, you know, but if you want to start all that, lads, then I'm not having that. I know he's your son, but that doesn't mean you can batter him, mate. It just doesn't. So I don't care what anyone says. You know, dads who with kids and all that, the fucking rats, aren't they, mate? The little fucking rats, aren't they? Bully bastard rats, mate. Yeah, and you know, when you want to pick on someone your own size, come and see me then, lad. So, you know, I'm not going to say that while the kid's there, but that's where I'm at with it, yeah. You know, he's on thin ice, mate, and I mean that, he's on thin ice. Baz a phone, he was like, what happened, lad? I said, he's a bit pad and all that. He went, give him another good couple of months, lad, and, you know, see what happens, you know, try and talk him into it. If he wants to come, he can, not. There's some decent lads in here, and he'll all welcome you, the proper sound. I said, is it like little clicks? He's like, no, mate. He said, I wouldn't have that in my gym, lad. He said, you know me, lads, they're all respectful, they respect me. No one will say nothing to him, lad. I'm like, all right, sound. So I'm talking to him and we're watching UFC and all that stuff. I'm watching now, do you know what I mean? And he's like, you know, he's getting into it, you know, he's learning how to throw a few digs like on the pads in man and all that. And the dad's basically out the equation now. He doesn't want to do it. He's just a little pisshead. Let him go and fucking kill himself on the berries, you know what I mean? You know, Larry doesn't like him. He doesn't really want to do it, but he doesn't know Big Larry how I know Big Larry. And you know, I've spoke to him, I've never spoke bad about him, ever spoke bad about Big Larry to Little Larry, and I've told him about the pain he's been through and, you know, what it was like when he was a baby and all that, but Larry remembers, he doesn't remember properly, but he remembers his mum getting ran over by a lorry, and every day since he's seen lorries going past that window, mate, and it's just relived it. Just imagine it, you know what I mean? Just fucking hell, mate. It's going to sky for life. Then he was getting tethered in school and all that, So I've learned him a bit of boxing, learned him a bit of whatever. And that's it. I haven't seen Larry now for about 2 weeks. He's been doing something, but he's safe and sound. He's been answering the phone, he texts me. You know, he's got his own life. He's a kid, and, you know, he's doing what he's doing. As long as he's staying out of trouble, he's not doing nothing bad, and, you know, not going to harm his future reputation, or, you know, we go get arrested. I'm happy for him, and I'm always here for him. Now, you might think, oh, lad, you're only a shopkeeper, but nah, I took a shine to this kid. You know, I've known him since before he was born. I've known him since he was in the womb, and I know what I mean. It's different in it. So his family didn't really pay attention or not, because I never really heard of his uncles or his aunties getting involved or anything like that. I never ever heard of nothing like that. I know we had them, but I just never heard nothing about them, do you know what I mean? Which I thought was a bit of a mad one. Now, there was a championship on for the UFC. It was one of the early ones, do you know what I mean? It was like a proper early one, more or less when it first started. And Larry, he comes into the shop one day, Little Larry, and he goes to me, I want to go to the gym, I watched that last night. I said, there was a boss fight where he's going, imagine I could do that. I said, imagine. I said, why can't you do that, lad? He's like, I don't know. He said, I don't think. I said, listen, lad, I said, when you're on the pads and that, you're good. Now, you've got to remember, this kid's been walking to and from school on his own since juniors. The kid is self-conditioned, like, unacknowledged self-conditioning. And I didn't really realise that, to be fair, do you know what I mean? But I'll get on this, right? So So he said, can we go to the gym? I said, right. He said, we're going to go in Saturday morning. He said, okay. He said, I'm going to drop you off outside. I'm going to pick you up outside. I'm not going to go in with you. You're going to walk in yourself. And he's like, all right. So he's like, you know, like getting himself all like proper like gaining, you know, like getting all the time. He's like, I'm defo going to do it, defo going to do it. Saturday morning comes, right, he comes into the shop, I'm like, you ready? He's like, oh, I don't know, you know, I'm like, come on lads, I said, shake it off with your confidence, let's go, and he's like, what will he make me do? I said, I don't know mate, I said, it's all changed since I was in there, I said, but you're going to have to go in, I said, if this is what you want to do, you know, even if it's just for a hobby, just you know, whatever. I said, just get off the streets, get a new like crowd of mates around you. These are all good lads and they look after you, lad. He's like, yeah. He said, but what if they start like? I said, they won't. I said, it's not going to be like school, lads. I said, in school, they're all just little farts in school, lads. Who cares? Do you know what I mean? Who cares? I'm like, you're leaving school soon, lads. Once you've left, then what? He's like, I know. I said, you'll never see none of them again. He's like, I don't know. He said, I can't wait. I said, who were your mates in school? Now I know he had this one lad, but the lad who was his mate, he was like his only mate. He moved schools, or his mum moved away, something like that, a few years ago. So ever since then, he's just been on his own even more. Do you know what I mean? He was on his own anyway. And this kid, you know, he was an alright kid. And I'd never ever met him, but he used to speak like he was alright with him. You know, in school, he'd talk to him time of day, blah, 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 blah. You know, dinner times, hang around with him and all that, just him and him. So, you know, he wasn't like literally on his own, but he had like one or two mates, you know what I mean? So his confidence was shattered. He had, you know, going home, his dad's battered him and, you know, piss head, raise yourself. Think about it. It's not a good start to life, is it? You know, I suppose you're not going to have the confidence that a lad who's had a good upbringing is, you know, you're going to be different, aren't you? And you're going to have different ways. You're going to be weird, aren't you? You're going to seem weird to other people who've been like, you know, the socially, you know, active and all that, because he's socially awkward as well. He doesn't know how to, you know, like control himself, or whether he says something right or wrong in groups, you know what I mean? Because he's never been in a group, and the group he has been in, they've all bullied him. So that's his like only thing about being with people, is him getting bullied or terrorised or this or that or skittered. Do you know what I mean? So we need to shake that out of him. You know what? This kid's got potential, you know. He's got fire in him now. He hasn't, but I can see that he could have. Because when he's come into me this morning, ready for the gym and that, he's fought his demons, you know what I mean? So I'm like, right, are we ready? He's like, yeah. I said, let's go, lads. So shuts the shop and all that, jumps in the car, drives to the gym, right? Now as we get in there, I can see he's proper nervous, right? Tail between his legs. He doesn't know what to expect. He's proper nervous. I said, just go in, go to reception, and Baz is waiting for you, mate. He says, well, what will he do? He said, well, after fight people. I said, no. I said, it won't be that. I said, they're not going to start putting you in the ring with someone the first day you walk in, lads. I said, they're going to see what you're about first, and, you know, what your cardio, lad. He's like, well, I can run. I said, I know. I said, I know your cardio's all right. Little did I know how good this cardio was, mate. Listen to me now. You've been walking up and down 5 miles a day to school for like 5 years. You've got good cardio, mate, and it's non-gym. It's just standard practice for him. So he says, all right, get out the car and I'll pick it up in 2 hours. He's like, all right, Sam, mate. And then as I'm driving away, I'm going slow in case he changes his mind, you know what I mean? And he's looking and he's not going in, and I'm driving, and in the end, I just thought, fuck off, lad. So I just drove away, boom, he's got in, right? And he's been in there for 2 have come out, and you should have seen his face when he come out of that gym, mate. And then Baz has come out and he's talking to me, and he's going to me, listen, mate. I'm like, what? He goes, this cardio is unbelievable for his age. I said, what have you doing? He said, just bits and bobs, just seeing how he operates, you know what I mean? He's going to me, listen, mate, his cardio is immense for this kid's age. And I'm like, yeah. He said, he's proper, got no confidence. He said, but we'll bring that out in him. I said, yeah. And you know what? Honest to God, hands on heart, it was one of the best days ever of my life, you know. It just was, because I just seen a difference in him when he got back in the car. He was all like up for it, you know what I mean? And see that day, that was the day that Larry, the Lamper McRae, was born. That was the day, right? That was the day. Right, that was episode 1. That was episode 1 of the gym. Larry McRae, right? We are coming in heavy and hard for episode 2. This is going to be a sick, heavy series, this, right? And it's going to be dropped at bells. Now, this one isn't. This one's going to be dropped in a minute. And it's going to be the pilot one. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about it. You know, it's a little bit different so far to what the channel's about, but it's not going to be, okay? Because it's got twists and turns and twists and turns. Now, remember, this is only day 1. We finished on day 1 of the lad going in the gym, right? His first day. Big shout out to everyone on the channel. Yeah, love you all. Scouser out.